Hi. Good evening. Good evening, everyone. So, my name is Ruth Haruna, and once again, you're welcome to Parenting Beyond Words, hosted by my humble self. So, we do this. When I say we, I mean Overseas Youth Initiative and Nigeria. That's the initiative we run, and we have been doing this for the past 4 weeks. Yeah. This is our 4th week, and really this series was informed by the high rising have called to ask and request that we start doing something, and our Facebook page was Youth NG, and you can watch. She has right, but can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, yes. You're welcome, ma. So
Thank you. I can't hear you well.
Told our guest who you are, a mother of 4, an entrepreneur, and so is it better now? Can you hear me now?
Yeah, that's fine. Line is breaking.
Okay, so oh dear, serious. Okay, so when you can hear me, please let me know. Let me know if you can hear me.
I can
Can
hear
you hear
you
me
clear.
now?
Yes, this is
Okay,
better.
beautiful. So I have invited you on this show to talk to us about some common parenting mistakes that we make, right?
Yeah.
And I've done this because I know you're a mother of 4 and you have been taking care of your children at home during this lockdown, yourself and your husband. And I feel like it's really important for us to hear from everyday parents some of these challenges that each one of us are going through. So the first mistake we're going to talk about is around discipline, right? Most times
Yeah.
we find ourselves as parents having the challenge to um, insist on certain limits when it comes to disciplining our children. We tell them, if you do this, this is what I'm going to do. But sometimes they do it, we may be tired, Sometimes we're overwhelmed and we don't come
Yeah.
to with such consequences. So please, what has been your experience as far as insisting on limits and consequences when it comes to disciplining children?
Well, basically, first of all, I'll thank you for this opportunity. It's really a good one for me. Basically, trying to insist on limits on my kids is always a difficult one because sometimes they try to blackmail me, and then sometimes maybe because of tiredness, I will just want my peace. So I will just tell them, just go ahead and do what you want to do. And because they know that, so they take advantage of that and keep doing things to hurt me, knowing that mommy is going to be tired, so she's not even going to say anything. Sometimes they even tell me to my face, mommy, I know that you are tired, you will not beat us. I know you will forgive us. And being the mother that I am, I will just let it go. And they have used that against me so much. But recently, I've come to understand that when you set limits for children, it is important that you ensure that they obey by all means. It's not sweet at all for parents because sometimes you have to spank them, sometimes you have to get a cane and to just ensure that they are in order, but as time goes on, they understand that when mommy says don't do this, then they know that we shouldn't do it. My children love cartoons so much, and I discovered that every time I give them food to eat and the TV is on, it's a difficult thing to get them to eat the food. Sometimes they end up not eating at all. So we agreed that we will not watch cartoon whenever we are eating, and it's something that has worked for me. So every time I want them to eat, knowing that they will watch the cartoon immediately after eating, they eat their food very well, and then we have peace when it comes to that. So it's important that we set limits.
Wow. Thank you so much. I'm so excited and I really like how you have used practical examples. Parenting can be tough, but as we always say, we will, make our mistakes and we will learn from them and we will become better. And honestly, it has been an interesting journey for me. Talking about is sometimes we do not follow through with consequences, which is closely tied to this first mistake. So the first one is that we do not set the limits. Now, the second one is example. If you don't meal to ensure that, especially in this period of lockdown, that every day is a Saturday.
Every day is a Saturday. Sure.
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah. Experiences. What have you done to ensure that we do not make these mistakes? Please share with us.
Okay, basically, I make them understand that for everything you do, always going to be a consequence for that. Like, I want to use my son as an example. I noticed that lately, maybe because he plays a lot, he's just 3. So I discovered that he wheezes on himself, something that he usually doesn't do on a good day. But throughout this lockdown period, he gets carried away and he just wheezes on himself. And then I told him, I said, Fola, if you wee on yourself again, I am going to spank you. And after some minutes, his sisters reported that Mommy Fola weed on his body, and I spanked him. So the next time again he weed, and they told him, they said, Mommy is going to spank you again. He started begging them, please, I'm sorry, Mommy, I weed on my body, and I'm sorry. So he already knows that if I weed on my body, this is the consequence of weeing on my body. I'm going to be spanked by my mommy. So as such, every time he feels pressed and he needs to ease himself, he will just run to the toilet without anybody telling him, knowing that if he does it on his body, mommy is going to beat him. So it's important that when we tell our children, if you do this, I'm going to flog you, let's ensure that we do that, so that tomorrow when you say I will do it, they will take you serious. But as parents, we're always afraid. We don't want to hurt them. We don't want to see them cry. No, we don't want to see them, getting angry. So we try to find a way around and say, I will not beat you today, but I'll do that tomorrow. And the more you keep saying, I will do that tomorrow, I'll do that tomorrow, and you don't do it, they will never take you serious, even when you're trying to be serious on ensuring that there are consequences for their actions.
Madam, that you have made. Like we discussed last consequence, which is what you have mentioned today. And if there is spanking, there has to be an understanding, encouragement. Thank you very much for making that point clear about consequences. I've discovered that even with my children, every time there is an issue where we've not discussed consequences, that thing continues to happen. So it becomes a trend,
Yes,
and I
yes,
think this is really common with children across board. So
yes,
this is really interesting. So thank you very much. Once again, if you're just joining us, we're talking about common mistakes in modern parenting. And our guest speaker is Mrs. Vashti Indagana, mother of 4 children, an entrepreneur, a mother, a teacher, and a music minister. She has done justice to 2 mistakes. And now we're going to be talking about the third mistake. So sometimes we do not empathize with our children, especially as they grow older and they have more challenges. We tend to be hard on them. They are trying to learn social skills, they are trying to learn academics and, other kinds of attitude and character emulation as we want to imbibe in them. Sometimes growing up can be overwhelming. And
yeah,
we parents sometimes make the mistake of not showing empathy to our children, being that pity you show with action, right? That's the difference between
yeah.
pitying a child and empathizing with a child. So, what are some of your experiences around ensuring that you empathize with a child as much as you discipline a child, you encourage and affirm the child, and also understand that the child is undergoing certain challenges as he or she is growing?
Okay, I'm going to give 2 instances. Last week, I enrolled my child because she had to pay for the training. I enrolled her in a baking class. So while we were working in the bakery, I told her to help me and hold a bowl. And I think her attention was not really on what I was doing. So the bowl fell from her hand. And I reacted so badly. Why would you do that? Why would you allow the bowl to fall? Do you know the consequence of this? And then when I looked at her face, I could see disappointment. I could see that she felt so bad that she had disappointed me and then disappointed in herself that she couldn't even make me happy. And then I felt so bad that I would have understood with her. Probably her mind wasn't there, So I had to apologize to her and then make her to understand that whenever I am teaching you something, I need you to concentrate so that you don't miss out on anything. We actually made up at the end of the day, so it was a good one. Then there was a day she came back from school and she said, Mommy, every time everybody's calling me Fatty Bonbon because she's actually plumpy. Everybody's calling me Fatty Bonbon. They make me feel sad. Is it a bad thing to be fat? This is and that. And I just told her, I said, anytime they call you Fatty Bonbon, just call them Lekba. But I now sat down and I thought of it. I said, that's not enough. If I just tell her that, then it would be as if I'm saying we are revenge, and she will not know her worth as a child. So I just told her, I said, there's nothing wrong in being fat. And you are beautiful the way you are. So don't let people make you feel bad about it. I told her, I said, every time they tell you Fatty Bombo, just tell them I am beautiful and I am happy with the way I am. And gradually she kept on telling her classmates that today my daughter is so confident of herself. She doesn't get intimidated by anybody, so it really helped her a lot. So it's important as parents that we understand that children also have feelings. And because they have feelings, they need us to understand them at every point in time, especially when they start growing and understanding some certain things. So parents, please let's understand our children and see reason why they behave the way they do.
Wow. Thank you so much. I told you guys that this woman is fire. Thank you so much. I really I'm learning a lot. I'm learning a lot, and these examples are really really very sensitive. Children are very sensitive, and some of these things they come to tell us, especially from school. We might be too busy sometimes, but if we don't take time to address it, then they have lost it, and we don't know
Yeah.
how much it will affect them even in the future. Thank you very much, Mrs. Bashti in Dagana. So the final mistake you're going to be addressing for us is around spending quality time with our children.
Wow.
This is huge, and this hits,
Whoa.
so talk to us. How can parents
Wow.
cut back? Because when we define parenting, we say parenting is providing for the child, protecting the
Yeah.
child, and preparing the child. For you to
Yeah.
provide for the child, sometimes you get busy jumping from pillar to post, making the money
Yeah.
to give them that quality of life. What can we do to strike a balance between acquiring the necessary resources to raise these children and actually being present? How do you do it, you and your husband? What has been your experience?
All right. Children are very sensitive. Children read us as parents. They know what we do. They know the time we spend with them, and they know when we are not available. So sometimes we'll do some things and feel they no, they don't understand. They are not even bothered about it. They are actually bothered about it. Every child wants to spend quality time with the parents, But just like you said, because we are trying to make sure that their needs are met, so we are moving up and down and everything. But the place of spending quality time with them can never be overemphasized. It is important that no matter how tight your schedule is as a parent, spend time with these children. When I mean spending time, sometimes it's not even about taking them out to play at Fun World or other things. Even at home, get to listen to them. Sometimes they just want to tell you something. Sometimes my kids just come to me, kiss me, mommy, I love you. Oh, you are the best mommy. Thank you for being my mommy and everything. Then there was this day while I was preparing for my album dedication, sometimes in March. I was going to the studio to record. And then my daughter said, Mommy, where are you going to? I said, I'm going to record. She said, Again? That you have not been around. Can't you just spend some time with us? Can't you just stay with us? Oh my, I felt so bad. As in, I know that this girl has been watching me for the past 2 months because I've been busy running around for recording of my songs and everything. I had to stay back and give this girl attention because I just felt that if I don't do it as a parent, before I know it, gradually they will begin to disconnect from me, and then they'll begin to get attention from probably people that they are not supposed to get attention from. And we know that that's a danger sign. So it's important that we give these children attention, whether at work, even if you spend just 1 hour from your office time or some time together, to just talk with these children and get to listen to them. It is very, very important. Please, parents, I think we should give this attention because it really affected me that time. And I told myself from this moment, no matter how busy I get, if I need to be in my shop working or baking cakes, then I have to work with them so that we can talk together and spend time together. And it's really, really bringing out positive results for me.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Personally, I recently mentioned how that I had to cut back on work. In fact, I had to just, my contract ended. They were going to renew my contract. I told them, guys, I'm no longer going to be a full-time staff. Just give me 5 days or 10 days to work for you so I can work from home because I have seen that there is need to spend more time with these children. And the
Yeah.
more they grow older, the more they need our time. They ask questions and you're always in a hurry. These points you have made are so valid. Thank you so much, Mrs. Vashti Indagana. This has been a
Thank
really
you.
insightful and educative session. Is there something that you just want to say before you go, just like a way of final advice to parents watching us?
Yes. All right. To all parents watching us, it is important you know that your children should see you as role models and be their friend before any other person. Let them believe you first before they believe any other person outside. So that whatever lies anybody will be telling them outside, they have already known the truth from you as the parents. Please don't let another person tell them what you need to tell them as a parent. Thank you.
Beautiful, beautiful. What a beautiful way to exit. Thank you so much. We are truly humbled to host you on our show.
Thank
We
you.
know you're
Thank
going to be
you.
back. We look forward to having you back. Thank you so much. This was
Thank you
awesome.
for having me
Thank
too.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye. So, viewers, once again, we are discussing 10 mistakes in modern parenting. And we just discussed 4 mistakes around setting limits, consequences, empathizing with our children, and spending time with our children. Now, our second guest is already in the studio, and I'm going to be inviting him on board right now. Hi, Mr. Charles. Good evening.
Hello, how you doing?
I'm fine, thank you. We're so
Good
happy to have
evening,
you
good
on.
evening, good evening.
So I'm just going to briefly
The pleasure
introduce you.
is mine. How is the family?
Fine, thank you. I'm going to briefly
Okay.
introduce you to our audience. So Mr. Charles is a social and business development professional. He is married to Madam Bukola, and they have 2 beautiful children, a boy and a girl, 18 and 10 years old. I've met them, and they are fabulous. So Charles has been a friend for a while,
Thank
and
you.
he is everyday parent. You're welcome on Parenting Beyond Words series once again.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me. Thank you for the privilege to share together.
Yeah, thank you. So we said today we want to talk about some mistakes that we make as parents. And the first mistake you're going to be sharing with us from your experience, either you made the mistake or you have seen other parents made the mistake or some strategies you want
Okay.
to share with help you to not make this mistake is around tolerating other carers to discipline our children. You know that saying, it takes a village to raise a
Yeah,
child.
that is actually what I wanted to say first. I mean,
Oh,
if you are in Africa, you are raised by a village, by a whole community.
yeah, go ahead. So talk to us.
Okay,
How can a parent
that's actually
how can a parent
go on.
be able to discipline their child and also allow other healthy and responsible adults in the life of that child to also discipline the child?
Okay, thank you for that definition. Healthy adult, healthy carers. I mean, disciplinarians around the children. We're in Africa, and so you will have so many other people involved in parenting and discipline of the child. From my experience, my environment, I grew up with a grandma, I grew up with aunts and people around. So I had so many people attending to me, so many people watching over, and so many people also getting involved in discipline. So it's the same experience I had with my children. From the first day my son came to the family, we had people living with us. So I have exposed them. My children have been exposed to a couple of other people involved in discipline. However, and that's why I like the your definition, LD, LD discipline. I've also had funny experience with people who want to discipline them the way I don't. And I've had to have a confrontation with a sibling in that respect because he feels we need to beat, we need to really, really spank, and for me, I don't. I don't. And so he feels you are not taking, that's not how we were raised. And I said, yes, I was raised like that, but I choose to raise my own children differently. So it is important as a parent to understand exactly the kind of discipline you want to instill, and then people around, because you always have people around. And for us Christian also too, we have submit yourself. We want the children to submit to their parent in the Lord. So it's not just even at home, even in church, and then in school too. So it's important to strike that balance. As and I like the word you use, healthy, older, adults discipline the children, because some are not very healthy, and we should not allow the children to be exposed to such.
Beautiful. Thank you so much. I must tell you, sometimes it's painful, when I see a sibling or maybe someone that lives with me disciplining my child, I have to tie my heart,
Yeah,
because I'm like, when you
it's
leave
a,
people, you left it to their discretion. So, like, how can you control it? So it's really a sensitive issue, and I like what you said. How you can get to strike a balance. Thank you very much, sir.
You're welcome. You're welcome. But like I
Yeah.
said, we need to have that conversation, even with the carers, even with the teacher in the school, even with Sunday school teachers. You need to have that conversation and actually discuss that, because most of us are product of our environment and the experiences we grew up with. And so it may be right for the person, because that's the only experience they've been exposed to. But you need to actually have a conversation with them that no, it is wrong. I was spanked. I was given. My grandma didn't spare the rod, but I needed to raise my children in a different, because even with all the spanking, I still had my bit of going south.
Exactly. Okay. Thank you so much. This is such a and I really, really appreciate your response. So thank you. We're going to be talking about setting examples as parents. Sometimes we find
Mhm.
ourselves setting bad examples. That's the second mistake you're going to be talking to us about. And I must really take responsibility of this mistake. Me, I am guilty. So how can we, and for us in Oasis Youth Initiative, this is what informed our coining of parenting beyond words. Meaning, more
Okay.
than what I say as a parent, it is more about what I do. What kind of example do I show my
Exactly.
child? So how can parents be,
I
able to
mean,
show?
perfectly.
What has been your experience, sir?
For me, my son had lived with us for 18 years. And so it's been every day of showing example. And I have learned over time too that they tend to listen to what we do more than what we say. Yeah, they tend to just be who you are. So it's a daily way, a daily example setting for us, and you wouldn't know that you are actually setting a bad example. You wouldn't know if you are not aware of it, and that is why really having this conversation over right now is important, and it should be something that should continue, because you will have your children will have acted wrongly before you actually know or remember that, oh, actually they learnt that from me. So it's a conscious effort at living right every day. A very good example is music. I had a very peculiar experience growing up with music. At home, we don't listen to a certain type of music, but on TV, I was exposed to a lot of those music. I grew up with those music. I started working and reporting those music. And so when I started having children, I don't tune to the music channel on TV because of the experience I had, and it is deliberate. People living in my house, older adult living in my house, we had that conversation too. You cannot watch this TV, you cannot watch this particular channel when the children are at home, just to, maintain it. And we've seen many times when eventually they become what you don't even want them to be. So it's a conscious effort to actually live right and be the good example. You can't do it. You cannot be 100% perfect because you also need to live. Hello.
Yeah, I'm with you, sir.
Hello. Okay, so you can't be 100% perfect, but it's to carry that consciousness that they are watching. Somebody is watching, and they won't manifest what they've seen now. You may not be there, and it may be too late to correct them at that time. So I can say, I've had a bit of bad example setting at home, and I've also had a couple of good ones that I'm proud of.
Thank you so much. So I hear you say that it is not just for the parents to be a good example, but also for every other adult living within the household. Because sometimes the parents might be
Yes, ma'am.
showing a good example, but other people come to live with us and then they expose the
Exactly.
children to, yeah, oh, wow,
Or other things.
beautiful. Okay, thank you very much. This is really insightful. I told you
Welcome.
before you answered that I have been guilty. I noticed earlier, when the lockdown started, my children were not so keen to read. And they really wanted to spend more time watching television. And I kept asking myself, what's going on? What's going on? And my first daughter called me on my example. And she said, you spend a lot of hours watching movie on your phone. And it was like I now had a consciousness that is living outside my body. She's watching me on everything and she just played it back to me.
Okay.
And that really hit me. I had to now be more deliberate in reading, and I would read in a place they would see me read it, not just lock myself up in the room. So thank you so much, sir, for this insightful tips that you have shared
You're
with us.
welcome.
Yeah, the final mistake we're going to be discussing is around teaching our children patience. I know that children, as they grow up, you know, have to develop certain soft skills. And most times, parents are not deliberate in teaching these soft skills. And that's why there are a lot of adults today that
Okay.
are in workplace and cannot thrive because some of these soft skills were not taught to them as children. So today, as adults, they find it
Yeah.
difficult to live out, with those skills. Patience is one key thing. How can a parent be deliberate in teaching patience? And what has worked for you?
Really, I can't say I have deliberately taught them how to be patient. Outside, you can't get this now. You have to wait. It's something that I have to really think through and actually start doing. I haven't even old conversation around that hey, this is what you need to do. Aside, the only time I want to say that has happened is maybe perhaps in church or during devotion. Well, outside that, I haven't had any or made any conscious effort at teaching, patients in particular. And it's I've not set good example in that regard because patience is very important. Is one of the virtue of the spirit that, as a child of God, we need to we need to cultivate and live. I mean, we should be known to be patient and also be kind. And it's something that really I never thought about it. That we need to talk about this. You need to be patient. Except the only time is when there is a demand and you're trying to act. I mean, negotiate for them not to take that thing. You need to, I mean, be patient. That's the only time I've had to do that. So it's that, I mean, the question is an eye opener for me and something that I need to go home and actually talk to my daughter first. Actually, talk to my daughter first. That hey, what do you know about patience? And can we have a conversation around that?
Yeah. Beautiful. So I'm sure you have been able to instill patience in your children because those little things you do around talking to them about sharing, oh, share with your sister, share with your brother, hold on, let them use this before you, or watching the television channel. This one wants to watch this one, that one wants to watch the other channel, and you say, oh, why don't you wait? So I mean, like I'm sure that every moment you had to talk to them about waiting must have been an opportunity to instill patience in them, and it's an interesting topic
Yeah,
to
that's what I'm
really.
saying. Especially that's why I said, especially my daughter. I mean, she is at the lowest rung on the ladder at home, so she wants to compete with the other people. So she had to be the one to be every time preached at to be patient. Hey, wait your time, wait your turn. So, but it's something that we should be conscious of. It's a conversation that happens every time at home, but being conscious of it, taking it and looking at it deliberately will be better than just having it happen spontaneous or without any plan.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Mr. Charles. This has been
Welcome,
a
ma'am.
very interesting conversation. And I believe that the
Same
parents
here.
that are with us have learned so much from your experience and the tips you have shared. You have talked to us about the mistakes around tolerating other adults that are responsible, disciplining our children. You also talked to us about setting bad examples as a mistake, and we just finished talking about being deliberate in teaching our children patience. These are things that I think if every parent is conscious of this, parenting will become better and our children will grow to fully realize their potential by the grace of God, God helping us. Thank you so much. It's been exciting having
Yes,
you on the show, and we
thank
look forward
you.
to having you again. Please, any
Same
final
here.
words, parents, before you leave?
Actually, I think we should be deliberate. I didn't have the growing up years that I desire as a child, and I made a conscious effort to give my children a better life than I had. So I think every parent, those who have children right now, and those who plan to have children, to actually make a decision on how they want their home, their children to grow up in, and creating a good environment. We are all the product of our environment. And if you create a very good, conducive, loving environment, as Pastor Adesoye shared the other time, if you create such environment for your children, you will be a happier parent or grandparent later in life.
Thank you so much. Create a
Thank
healthy.
you.
This is the lesson. Thank you, Mr. Chan, and see you another time.
Thank you.
Bye.
You're welcome. Bye.
Thank you. Yeah. So, hello, viewers. This is Parenting Beyond Words. Once again, we are hosting a session on mistakes that parents make in modern parenting. And we have talked about 7 mistakes. Now, we're going to be taking 3 more from our next guest, our special speaker, and I'm going to be welcoming him into the studio. Hi, Andrew.
Hi, good afternoon.
You're welcome to the studio.
Thank you.
Okay, so Mr. Andrew Echono is a friend, but most importantly, he's a father of four very active and handsome boys. I know those boys. I've been seeing their move.
Surely.
And he is a development professional who specializes in grants management. He has been a friend and a partner of Oasis Youth Initiative. And honestly, we are so honored to have you on the show today. You're welcome, sir.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. So today we're talking about mistakes that parents make in modern parenting. And we've talked about a couple, but you're going to help us demystify three more mistakes, right? The first one you're going to talk to us about is sometimes parents get tired and overwhelmed, and our children come to us with questions. They might be having sibling fights or whatever the concern is. And we have already set rules and limits and consequences for action. But sometimes we just give in, because we want to have peace and quiet. If we do this so often, it becomes a pattern of being a permissive parent, which is not good for the child. How can a parent work on not giving in always just because I want to have peace and quiet?
Well, thank you. I think this mistake is one that speaks to me directly as an individual, as a parent. So the fact that we are here talking about mistakes that parents make does not make us immune to some of these mistakes. We make these mistakes every so often. And that means as we speak to people out there, we also speak to ourselves. So in the early stage of my career as a parent, because I call this my second career, I think this was one problem I had to battle with as a person. Why? Because for me, as an individual, growing up, I was a hermit. Like people call me a hermit. Like I can stay in my room for 2 weeks without seeing anybody. And that is why this lockdown has nothing on me because that is my standard way of life. And so I like being on my own, just cut out from the world, cut out from everybody around me. I just don't want to talk to anybody. I just want to be in there locked down. Now, this is one part of me that will surprise a lot of people because they see me as someone that's bubbly out there. I try to make people laugh, but, deep down, I'm somebody that struggles with, trying to be on my own. And so, when I started having children, this particular vice started playing out. At times I just want to be on my own. I don't even want my wife around me. I just want to be on my own, and that's very clear. But over time, I think I came to learn that these children, they will always come around, and we need to it's at such times that they want to say something, and when you push them out, you miss that opportunity for them to give you vital information. I spend a lot of time with my kids, but you see, at times when I come back, as someone who works and I'm very busy, most times I'm busy doing something or the other. When I come home, I just want to rest. And you see them, they come knocking on the door, trying to, have a share of my, very short evening. So as a person, I have a very short evening. My evening is not more than 2 to 3 hours. So if I get home at 6, I'm in bed at 8. And that is how I live. Like I could get up again at night, but then they would have gone to bed. So for me and them, the evening is really very short. So one thing I've realized for the few times that I've had to listen to them, I get very vital information from them. They just come around me and then they say things carelessly that give me information on what has happened when I was away. And so I repented on my own and took a turn because I realized I was missing a lot, not listening to them at that time when they come around. And so now when they come around, I don't send them away. I listen to them, try to give them the attention that they require so that they'll give me the information that I want. I don't have a CCTV at home. They are my CCTV. So once I get home, they tell me everything I need to know, and then I use it to act. And it's been quite helpful for me. So I encourage parents to, no matter how tired they are getting home from work, to create time to to listen to their children, when they come around like that to welcome them from work, and also to disturb their few hours of rest.
Wow, wow. Thank you so much. So, this disturbance is something that seems to be happening to almost every parent. And I'm happy I've read to this and watched. It's a very thin line between having our sanity as parents and ensuring we have a relationship with them so that the communication can keep happening and we can keep getting the help us in helping them eventually. That's really insightful. Thank you for that. So the next thing we're going to talk about is how we can ensure that our parenting does not only model what our parents did. I know that there are some of us that our parents did a good job and it will be good to emulate what they have done. However, a lot of us are doing trial and error. It's like they shouted on me too, I will shout. However, the modern parenting we're talking about is the 21st. Things have changed. The environment has changed. Our children get information, just a tip for parents to find more creative ways of parenting as against raising their children the way they were raised in those olden days. Do you think this is an error we make? And if yes, what can we do to make sure that the parenting we provide our children helps them to grow and become healthy and functional adults?
Yes. So
Did you hear the question, sir?
we were brought up, many years ago, and so the condition under which we were brought up is quite different from what we have now. Times have changed, so the dynamics have also changed. So I cannot use the model my parents used many years ago to bring up my children in this digital age. And so, just like there's no book for parenting, though there are many authors that have written on parenting and the rest, those might not directly apply to everybody at the same time. So what that means is that we have to develop our own model, of parenting that suits the circumstance we find ourselves. As you said, I'm a father of 4 boys, 3 of them in active service. One is extremely stubborn. I cannot use what my father used those days and me as a gentle boy to be, to train my kids. These days, they are really stubborn. So for me, it's a mixed bag of modern tools that we are using. My father was really very strict with us, and my father was somebody that never spoke to us. He never, I always told my kids that my father never advised me. And that is a statement of fact. He was always telling us things like, do this or do that. There was no repercussion for doing this or doing that. Like, it's do this or do that. And that was the environment we grew. I cannot use that model to train my children. I cannot just be telling them without advising them on the repercussions for some of the actions they will be taking. So for me, what I even though my parents were really very good parents, the truth of the matter is that some of the models they used in bringing us up have become very archaic and out of date. And so for bringing up 21st century kids of the Facebook and the Twitter and the Instagram era, we need to deploy more advanced techniques, in our mixed bag to bring them up. We cannot model after what our parents have done over, like over 20 years or over 30 years ago. No, that won't work in this 21st century. Like I said, some of those techniques works for us, but most of them are out of date, and so we have to use more modern techniques. So I run my house like a government. We have three arms. There's the legislature, there's the executive, and there is judiciary. A system that punishes, that finds and punishes offenders, using different, punishment, tools. So we have to, as much as possible, devise our own technique. What works in, you can't tell me to use a technique that works in Canada. So recently, my son misbehaved, and I lined him up to punish him. And he was telling me that kids don't get punished abroad. And I said, yes, that is the truth. They don't punish them abroad. And I said, I know you have been to some of these countries. I said, do you know the president of United States? He said, yes. Do you know the president of Canada? He said, yes. Do you know the prime minister of UK? He said, yes. I said, are you aware that they gave palliative to their citizens recently? He said, yes. I said, did they give me? He was scratching his head. I said, now, you want me to copy them? They gave their people palliative. Even the one they gave here, I did not see. So I have to devise my own technique of survival. And so this is the one that works for me. And what works for me is that you will kneel down here for 45 minutes, and that will serve as a deterrence for repeating these offenses. And I can tell you, the technique I'm employing, it works for me. It may not work for other parents. Like I said, the dynamics are different from home to home. So the dynamics in a home where you have all girls might be different from the one you are when you have all boys, and when you have mixed boys and girls. And then even if you have all boys, boys have varying degrees of stubbornness. So you cannot apply a single set of rules and procedures for all of them. So like I said, what our parents used for us those days isn't working anymore for us today. So we need to devise our own modern tools that works for us in the 21st century.
Wow. Wow. Thank you very much, sir. Is guidance. Some bet you find them disciplining and punishing the child. For instance, I hear parents sometimes say, as old as you are, as big as you are, you don't know how to mop a floor? My question is, at what point did the parents pick up a mop and say, young ensure that we are daily providing guidance to our children, because we have now defined the rod of correction as having different components. It has the punishment part, which we said we should make sure does not enter abuse, and it has the talking part, and it has the guidance and correction part. So how can parents make sure that they guide their children before they start demanding certain things, behavior and attitude or actions from their children?
Okay, so in terms of guardians, I think I was telling my kids recently, like 2 days ago, because we have this house fellowship we do every day. So this lockdown helps us come together as a family every day, and then we talk to each other. So we always read from the Bible, and then we try to illustrate using our lives. And I was telling them that I cannot tell you to do something that I am doing. I do not have the moral justification, the moral right to tell you to do something that I'm not doing. And so I tell them, just look at the way I'm living my life and try to model your life after me. Now, if I'm not doing the right thing, I will not have the audacity to tell them that. So, again, going back to how I grew, as I always told people, my father never advised me or any of us. He was always telling us, do this or do that. And at times he would chase us to church and he is not even going, So, when we get somewhere along the line, we look at, but he is not even going. Why are we even going? So we want to see a case where parents lead by example. You have to lead by example. You cannot morally tell your child not to smoke when you are smoking. You cannot tell your child not to drink when you are drinking. You understand? So I generally belong to this school of thought that human beings are self-coordinating. But I've realized that over time, that doesn't work for everybody. So I remember a time when my father called me and sat me down and said he wanted to tell me, and I told him, I don't need advice. I can advise myself. Like, that is how self-coordinating I can be. But I realized that not everybody can do that for themselves. So parents have a very strong duty to guide their children, not just by living the life that the children will copy, but by also telling them that you have to live your life in this way, because they might misinterpret the way you live your life. So guidance comes in the form of, talking to them and also living right so that they can also copy you. I don't drink today. I don't smoke today. Why? Because my father never did these things. So even though we try to live a good life that our children will see, we should also find time to talk to them. They need to be, especially in this 21st century where they go out to meet people of diverse background. And I can tell you, raising a child in Abuja is really very difficult, because as you try, other parents out there become your undoing. As you try to build your own kids, other parents aren't doing the same thing, or they graciously spoil their own children, and then they take these things to school, and then they mix with our own children, and those influences are really strong that they almost throw them off balance, if not for the continuous moral suasion. So I encourage parents, even as parents continue to struggle to make sure that children come out well, that it's something that all parents have to have hands on deck. They must have their hands on deck together, because it's a common problem we are trying to solve. If I'm trying to solve the problem, someone else isn't doing anything about it, then it comes to nothing in the end, or we come to very little. So all parents have to have their hands on deck, provide the necessary guidance to their children, so that when they mix up with other children from good background, everybody comes out well. If we must raise the next generation of leaders for Nigeria, then it starts from the home.
Thank you so much, Mr. Andrew Echono. This has been a very, very, very educative and insightful session. It takes a village to raise the child, and now you've given us another dimension to that, meaning I have a responsibility to raise my child right. You have a responsibility to raise your child right. And when they mix in the society, they mix up and it's all good. And then they grow up to be great leaders of this nation. Thank you so much. Please, before you go, there is one of our parents that is watching us and is asking a question. And I would like you to just respond, because you're not just a father of 4, your youngest son, it's not so long that your youngest son came into the picture. So I feel like you're in a very good position to answer this question. He says, how do you start parenting with newborn babies? At what age do you start teaching your kid? I am a first-time dad and still has the youthful way of life, but I wish to be deliberate about parenting. So I'm assuming that this is a parent that is listening to what we're doing and he wants to know more. From your experience, what advice do you want to give Mr. Mike?
Okay, parenting starts from, for me, parenting starts from when the baby is handed over to me in the labor room. Now, there's this adage that says it's a small snake that grow up to become a big snake. So you cannot wait or give any room for a time where parenting starts. Once the child is born, parenting responsibility starts immediately. Now, as we know, as children grow, they have milestones that they cross in their development. Now, if you are not parenting that child well, that child will not be able to meet those milestones. So if you activate your parental responsibility from the scratch, then you will be able to help your child to go through those milestones as they go. So recently my little boy is just 8 months and he knows how to say bye. Like I taught him how to say bye. Now you have to keep telling them these things. From you think they can't learn, but at that very little age they learn, they communicate from very small, even using eye contact. So you have to start your parental responsibility now. Don't wait for when the child is 5 years or 6 years. At that time, other people may have come into the picture to give them something you don't desire. Parental responsibility starts from day one, or they call it day zero. Like when the child is born, you start immediately to parent that child. The child may not be able to hear words, but the child is communicating. You are communicating the child using other media, eye contact, other, non-verbal means of communication. And that is what your children need to understand, other means of communication beyond words. So for example, if I get into the room now and I just look, my kids know what I'm saying and they comply immediately. So you have to parent beyond words. And parenting beyond words means that you have to be able to communicate to them using other means other than words. So that if a day comes when you can't talk anymore, you'll still be able to communicate with them without, have words. So, Mr. Mark, parenting starts from now. Find other media of communicating with the child or bringing the child up from now that the child cannot talk. Make sure you are around at all times, and try to stay in touch with your children. Even if you travel frequently like I do, whenever you are around, make sure you create that time for them.
Wow. Thank you very much, Mr. Andrew. I couldn't have said it better. This was a very beautiful way of wrapping up. Thank you so much. Once again, we really appreciate you and thank you for coming on board.
Thank you.
Okay. So, viewers, this has been a very exciting 1 hour. We have learned so much and we have discussed 10 different mistakes that parents could make. Please, Mr. Mark, if you're still watching, you can chat us up on Oasis Youth NG on Instagram or Facebook, and we're gonna invite you to our parenting workshops so that you can learn more about how you can navigate your parenting and boost your parenting skills. So the word is parenting beyond words. Please type it in the comment. Thank you for watching us. And please, we look forward to next week because the 15th of May is the International Day for the Family. So we're going to be celebrating in grand style. Look forward to next week's series. And we promise you it's not going to be boring. It's going to be insightful and practical as usual. Thank you so much for joining us. This is Ruth Haruna from Oasis Youth Initiative, Parenting Beyond Words series. Bye for now. Thank you.